What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former unified WBC, WBA, undefeated welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Keith, one-time Thurman. He has an interesting take on the one blemish on his resume that came at the hands of legendary 8-division world champion Filipino iconic superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. That was July of 2019, and Keith Thurman lost his WBA title in that match. He already was previously stripped of the WBC title due to inactivity, but Keith Thurman, he lost a split decision to Manny Pacquiao. He closed the show in impressive fashion because he was dropped in the first round, and then he was badly hurt in the second. So Keith Thurman, he lost it due to inactivity, but in the 10th, 11th round, he was badly hurt to the body. Seemed like he was on the verge of being stopped. He was dropped in the first round. Keith Thurman has an interesting take. Keith Thurman, 29 wins, 1 loss, 22 wins by way of knockout. That one blemish coming at the hands of Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman is 5'7.5" with a 69-inch arm reach. The last time we saw him in the ring was that Manny Pacquiao fight in July of 2019. With that said, Keith Thurman is 32 years of age. He'll be 33 years of age in November. So Keith Thurman, he's saying that he should have done his due diligence and he should have made Manny Pacquiao take a test. He said he was being irresponsible. He wasn't focusing on that part of the business. And he says, like, it felt that Manny Pacquiao had bricks in his gloves, okay? He said it didn't feel normal. He says, so, he just pushed through with the fight. He says, but in normal circumstances, he stated that, he feels like Manny Pacquiao, he had bricks in his gloves. He said that he should have done, his homework. He should have been more responsible, but Keith Thurman is saying that, he believed that it's a possibility that Manny Pacquiao may have had an unfair advantage. He was on an interview with Teddy Atlas, in which he displayed these concerns that he had. And Keith Thurman, he's saying that he should have done his homework. He says that he was irresponsible. He says that Manny Pacquiao, we know Manny Pacquiao wasn't tested for this fight. There's always some sort of allegations or eyebrows raised to when it comes to Manny Pacquiao. So he feels like Manny Pacquiao, may have had an unfair advantage. He says that Manny Pacquiao, it felt like he had bricks in his gloves. Okay. That's unfortunate. Obviously, Keith Thurman should have done his due diligence. And, Keith Thurman, a lot of people were saying, why is Keith Thurman going into this fight without having any testing done? Okay, a lot of people question why Keith Thurman would push through with the fight or agree to the fight without there being any testing done. Okay, and so with that said, Keith Thurman, he's looking at the standpoint from a standpoint of he felt like everything was on the up and up, and that everybody would do their homework. Okay, so now Keith Thurman is saying that Manny Pacquiao, it felt like he had cement in his gloves. Okay, so Keith Thurman is saying that he should have did his homework. Quote, he said, "Listen, I did not regulate any form of testing in that fight." This is what Keith Thurman had to say. He said he did do the majority of his training camp in the Philippines, and his hands felt like cement. So you tell me, Teddy. So he's talking to Teddy Atlas, okay? He said, my focus is on how to train and show up. Teddy sounds like he knows a few more things about the industry than I do, referring to Teddy Atlas. He said, my question is, what do you have to do to beat Keith Thurman? He says, that's the question is always, what do you have to do to beat Keith Thurman, okay? He says, in turn, that caused the flash knockdown. It was an amateur mistake. I felt that I walked down with a lot of pride, showing him I was strong, right? So Keith Thurman is saying that, he tried to show his pride and show that he was tough and, he could, withstand what Manny Pacquiao was dishing out. But Keith Thurman said, well, Manny Pacquiao did do the majority of his training camp in the Philippines. He's saying that he did not regulate, Manny Pacquiao or the fight itself for both guys to do testing. And he said he felt like Manny Pacquiao, he had cement in his gloves. And there's always been speculations when it comes to Manny Pacquiao. We saw Floyd Mayweather, a legendary former 5 division world champion, former pound for pound king, rival of Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather, he refused to fight Manny Pacquiao until Manny Pacquiao took Olympic testing, okay? And a lot of people, they faulted Floyd Mayweather for the fight dragging out 5 years. And a lot of people felt like it was 5 years too late. Well, Floyd Mayweather said that it's going to be on an even playing field or it's not going to happen. So Floyd Mayweather, he stood his ground. He says that if Manny Pacquiao didn't take, Olympic style testing, that he wasn't going to push through with the fight, and he stood on his square. And eventually, Manny Pacquiao, he gave in and he agreed to do it, and the fight came to fruition. So there's a lot of, you get guys like Teddy Atlas, and you get guys like, Paulie Malignaggi, they feel strongly about, things that they've heard or known, and allege that Manny Pacquiao may have had unfair advantages. And so here we have Keith Thurman, he's saying that Manny Pacquiao, he felt like, Manny Pacquiao has cement in his gloves, okay? But now, to Manny Pacquiao's defense, we have seen Keith Thurman in compromised positions, okay? He was hurt badly by Josito Lopez, the fight just before the Manny Pacquiao fight, okay? He was hurt by, a few, Luis Collazo. He was hurt badly. Manny Pacquiao did hurt him to the body in that 10th or 11th round. I can't remember if it was the 10th or the 11th round, but Manny Pacquiao did hurt him, to the body. He hurt him to the body. Okay, so I looked like he was on the verge of possibly, stopping Keith Thurman at that point in time. But in the sport of boxing, these things happen. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes in the sport of boxing, and we've seen situations like Antonio Margarito with Miguel Cotto. We see the Luis Resto, Panama Lewis and John Collins situation. Okay, most recently we see Deontay Wilder having the same, sentiments about Tyson Fury's gloves. Okay, so these things do take place in the sport of boxing. And Keith Thurman, he's saying that he should have did, his due diligence, and he should have made Manny Pacquiao, he should have had it more strict, essentially. It should have been testing. It should have been, more regulation, as he stated, right? But like I said, Keith Thurman, we saw him in a compromised position. So to see Manny Pacquiao having success against Keith Thurman truly wasn't a surprise, especially when he went to Keith Thurman's body, okay? Because we saw Keith Thurman, that's where he's vulnerable to the body. Luis Collazo, Josito Lopez, and then Manny Pacquiao. So didn't raise too much of a question. But, if Keith Thurman is saying that, he feel like Manny Pacquiao is cement in the gloves, who are we? He was the one in there on the receiving end of those punches from Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman, he did close the second half, as he stated. He tried to show, his toughness. He stayed toe to toe with Manny Pacquiao. I personally thought that Keith Thurman was going to win the fight. I thought that Keith Thurman's style would be all wrong for Manny Pacquiao. He has very good footwork. He has fast hands. He has power in both hands. He is a very good pure boxer, and he controls distance and range very well. So I thought that would give him the edge against Manny Pacquiao. And to my surprise, Manny Pacquiao seemed to have turned back the hands of time. And that's what raised a lot of questions and eyebrows to many fans in the sport of boxing, seeing as though there was no testing. And now Keith Thurman is saying that he feels like Manny Pacquiao allegedly has cement in his gloves, okay? Keith Thurman, again, still inactive since that point in time. Obviously, we're dealing with a global issue, the global pandemic, and so all sports was suspended. So things haven't gotten back to normal. Keith Thurman and both Manny Pacquiao have been inactive since that fight July of 2019. Keith Thurman says that also he had some injuries going into that fight that he has since had cleared up, and he feels like he's 100% back to his normal self, and that moving forward, you're going to see the one-time Thurman back in the ring. Manny Pacquiao, it seems like he's on the verge of facing 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia in his next fight, which could take place. Manny Pacquiao and his team said that they're targeting May, June, the end of May, early June for his next fight, because they want to squeeze in another fight before the year's up. Manny Pacquiao is going to run for president in his country. So They want to get another fight in 2 fights, and it could possibly be Manny Pacquiao's last year competing in the sport of boxing. So, but like I said, stylistically, I thought that Manny Pacquiao was going to lose the fight to Keith Thurman. And in the second half of the fight, Keith Thurman did close the gap. Okay, Keith Thurman made it very, very interesting. That's why it wasn't a unanimous decision victory for Manny Pacquiao. That's why it was a split decision, because Keith Thurman did close the gap, and Keith Thurman, he thought he did enough to win the fight or at least get a draw. The judges didn't see that way. I think that the fact that he was dropped in the first round, the fact that he was badly hurt and looked very vulnerable in the 10th, 11th round, whichever round that was, that swayed the judges' opinions, and they gave the nod to Manny Pacquiao. So we got to see what's next for Keith Thurman. He's campaigning to get a fight with Yordenis Ugas, who's now the sole WBA welterweight world champion after Manny Pacquiao was essentially stripped of the WBA title due to inactivity. So Keith Thurman is trying to throw his name in the hat to be able to get a fight with Yordenis Ugas and put himself back in the position to become a world champion again. And he wants the big fights. He's saying that he wants to fight Errol Spence. He wants to fight Terrence Crawford. He wants a rematch with Sean Porter. So we got to see what happens moving forward. But make sure y'all hit that like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.